Suspect Montoya had clear plans, intent, and the means to carry out an act of violence that may have resulted in a mass casualty incident.
As many as 29 people have been arrested in 18 states for threatening to commit mass shootings or carry out mass shootings. And this is just since the two mass shootings that took place in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. Now, one of the mass shooting plots that have been foiled by authorities was in Long Beach, California, just recently. In fact, CBS Morning News has more details on that. Let's take a look.
Long Beach police arrested disgruntled hotel cook Rodolfo Montoya at his home in Huntington Beach. They seized multiple high-powered firearms, hundreds of rounds of ammunition and tactical gear, including an assault rifle and high-capacity magazines, which are illegal in California. Irma Escobedo worked with Montoya at the Marriott Hotel. She says he sometimes made her uncomfortable, but she never reported him.
He looked for me and he touched me or gave me a kiss on the hand. I said, "Don't touch me, please. Don't kiss me because the cameras are there and I don't like that."
One of the suspect's neighbors who did not want to be shown says another neighbor warned him to stay away from Montoya.
One next door told me that he had guns in that RV and to stay clear of it. He's got all kinds of guns.
Now at least 29 people have been arrested in 18 states for threatening mass violence since mass shootings this month in Texas and Ohio.
Yeah, so look guys, this is a case of law enforcement doing a great job. And so this happened, apparently he was a disgruntled employee. That there's different causes. It's really, and I don't mean to be coy with using this word, but there's different triggers for what sets people off. And sometimes it's race, sometimes it's religion, sometimes it's employee issues, sometimes it's a girlfriend, boyfriend, etc. But whatever it is, the fact that law enforcement is heading it off all across the country, you have to give them tremendous credit. So we stick with the facts here. So when law enforcement does something wrong, we point it out. When they do something great, we point it out. But the most important thing is, if you have someone that you know in your personal life that's talking about how they have a lot of guns, or they're going to shoot people, and they're angry and they're going to take it out on people, report them. It's not a joke, and this is not the old days. It's not McCarthyism. It's not any of that. Assume that they have, even if they didn't say anything about guns, assume they have weapons because it's America. It's very likely that they do. And if it turns out it's a false alarm, okay, it's a little inconvenience, and whatever you do not do it out of maliciousness, right? Because if you cry wolf, that is terribly counterproductive. But if someone is actually talking about that at work, at school, wherever it might be, given what has happened in this country, it's super important that you tell the authorities, because unfortunately, in this country, it's a high percentage chance that they are not kidding, they're not bluffing, and if they hadn't turned that guy in, when does he use all those weapons? It looks like it would have been imminent.
Right, I mean, the cops are saying that there was a game plan set in place, that he was actually planning on carrying out this act of violence. And I just wanna make a few comments about this particular foiled plot. He had all of those assault weapons, and very briefly they mentioned in that report that, well, these assault weapons are illegal in California. And inevitably, you're gonna get a wave of conservatives and gun rights activists saying, well, you see, these laws don't work, it's banned in California. And so, see, got his hands on those assault weapons. But we're not an island, right? Surrounded by water, big water. We're a country, right, of states. And all you need to do is drive to a state that has lax gun laws and just buy any gun you want willy-nilly.
Yeah, if people don't know all the ridiculous Trump quotes, sometimes they probably get confused. They're like, why does Anna want to make a point about how America's not an island surrounded by big water?
That's wet from the standpoint of water.
That's right, another great Trumpism.
Yeah.
So guys, everybody's armed. And look, one more thing about that. I've told a story, many stories about this, usually in the last half hour of the Young Turks, which is just for members, tyt.com/join to hear some of these stories. I told a story about how I fought with this guy named Buford. Brett and I cracked up over it, but it was the old days. It was the 80s, it was Jersey, and people fought, and it was a little bit more of an innocent time. Now, don't fight anybody, man. You have to assume at all times that everyone has a gun, because in America, and if you're a tourist and you don't know that, be careful in America. It's a dangerous country, I'm not kidding. Not only are there mass shootings, whenever there's any kind of conflict, you have to assume that the person is armed. There's over 250 million guns in America. So it is a very dangerous place. The Wild Wild West was nothing compared to today. The shootout at the OK Corral, legendary. So I mean, in Las Vegas, we had a massacre of 52 people, a huge massacre in Orlando, etc. I mean, you've seen it all over Florida. You see it in the news all the time, right? So the OK Corral, I mean, must have been over 50, right? 70 people killed, 90 people killed? No, 2 people, that's it. And back then, that was like, whoa, 2 people died in a shootout at the OK Corral.
There were like 12 people in America at that time.
Yeah, but like that's seen as like the bad old days. No, the bad old days are right now. Everybody's weaponized and some certain percentage are mentally ill with a violent streak. Not all the mentally ill, in fact, it's a tiny, tiny minority of the mentally ill that have a violent streak. But unfortunately, a country of 300 million people and about 300 million guns, that tiny percentage does a lot of damage, no matter what political or religious or personal beef that they think they have.
Right, and you also have politically fueled violence, for, I'm not gonna say for the first time, but it's definitely exacerbated due to the type of rhetoric that we're hearing in right-wing media outlets, from Donald Trump himself, fear-mongering about migrants and people of color. And there's, again, 29 separate people who have been arrested in 18 states because they were threatening to carry out mass shootings. And I just want to read you a few examples. On August 8th, a man is accused of walking into a Walmart in Missouri equipped with body armor, a handgun, and a rifle less than a week after a gunman killed 22 people in a Texas Walmart, and says it's a social experiment and not intended to cause panic. The 20-year-old was charged with making a terrorist threat. So why are you walking into any place with that type of weaponry?
Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, it's my rights, it's my rights. You might yes, but then there are cops who might be concerned that they're gonna get shot, then you're in a world of trouble, right? Let alone anybody else getting shot. And why are you going around terrorizing people with weapons? And you don't even know exactly what your rights are in that particular state, etc. And obviously you violated the law. But it goes on and on. I mean, the guys to worry about the most are the ones that are unhinged and ready to act. And one more time, whether it's the FBI or local law enforcement, when they catch them before they do the shootings, oftentimes you don't see it. That's part of why we're doing this story. You have to give them credit for the things that they stopped that you didn't see. That's when law enforcement is at its best.
Absolutely.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.